So welcome everybody to the what's the name of the podcast?
Hey guys, welcome to Tailgate Talk. We're recapping week 6 and moving on to week 7. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe. Dwight, what's our first topic that you have?
Okay, so first topic has to be the Cowboys and Chargers game, right? I don't know who watched it last night, but it was an interesting game, to say the least.
It was interesting, hot garbage. Both teams are absolutely atrocious.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about. Did Dallas show you anything, or did the Chargers prove that they're not a playoff team? That's
Chargers
the question.
Proved that they're bad. Dallas proved that they're bad. They're both bad. The best part of the game was that little Asian chick that was a fan who was freaking out on camera.
I don't know.
I think that chick's a government NFL. What did that one dude say? She's a NFL plant. Put her in there just to get views.
Probably.
Oh, maybe. Dallas just proved exactly what Big has been saying. They are who we thought they are. They struggled against a very bad Chargers, not only offense, but a very bad Chargers defense.
Well, hold on, because some of you, if I remember correctly, were saying the Chargers are a good team.
Well, I take back what I said about the Chargers being a good team, because last night they proved that they are not a good team. They absolutely neutralized Micah. Micah didn't do a damn thing. And it was like watching a high school football game at the freshman level. It was ugly. I mean, who in their right mind can pay money to go watch them play? That was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I don't know if this shows anything for Dallas, but they did win in a primetime game where Dak outplayed Justin Herbert.
Oh.
But I mean, I feel like that's what this is a game that Cowboy fans will talk about until they lose it in another primetime game. Let's be honest. They're going to bring this up.
They bring up everything though.
They do, but they're going to talk about this one more. Because it's a quote-unquote playoff team. They were a playoff team last year, at least. And Dak outplayed Justin. And I think Justin's considered, a top 5, top 10 quarterback?
He was. I don't know about now.
He's definitely top 10, probably top 8, top 5.
I mean, the passes he was making, it was like you on Madden, closing your eyes and just throwing the controller. Like, it was bad. I don't know what was going on with Justin Herbert.
There was definitely miscues. Absolutely.
I've never played quarterback or anything a day in my life, but to play at an elite level and be considered an elite quarterback and look that sloppy against a sloppy Dallas team, it's unacceptable. There's no excuse for it. And the same goes for Dallas. I mean, we know what Dak is, but the rest of the team, they didn't show up either.
I mean, if you look at the stat line, Dak had a good game, CD had a good game.
Technically, yes, they had a good game, but it was like watching Dumb and Dumber and they just put on football helmets.
I don't think it was necessarily like a horrible game. I think it was just both defenses were just stopping each other, and it was basically just like a battle of defenses, and then one team would get into the end zone maybe like once a quarter. And I think both offenses weren't good. I think Dak played a little better than he did last week, but he's going against the Chargers defense, which is not the 49ers defense, which gives them the ability to actually get the ball off and all that. And I think the Dallas defense is good. I wouldn't say Dallas has a sloppy defense. I think they have a sloppy offense, but I don't think they have a sloppy defense. Their defense is still a good defense. They're still one of the top defenses, and Justin Herbert definitely felt that. And you could tell he was getting pressure all night.
I mean, they played the run very well. Austin Eckler came back, obviously high ankle sprain. He came back after his high ankle sprain. He averaged 1.9 yards a carry. I mean, obviously Eckler's a dual threat. He didn't do too much in the receiving game either, but they limited him to 1.9 yards a carry, and I believe like 19 carries.
The Chargers weren't really doing anything on offense. So Dallas had them pretty locked down. The pass rush was getting there basically every play, and they were just running. They were pass rushing him so hard he was just kind of throwing the ball under pressure all the time, and I think that's what mostly caused all his bad passes. He was just trying to get the ball off too quick, or trying not to take the sack and just throwing the ball out. and the Bassets just weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Chargers defense did pretty good. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys offense is necessarily that good, but they had a little bit of pass rush, and they were stopping them on the run. Like Tony Pollard didn't really do anything except for that
big
pass he caught from Dak.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a defensive game. I don't think both offenses didn't really look that good. I mean, Dak had a better game than he usually does, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, I feel like every time we mention the Cowboys, it's the same stuff. So I kind of want to talk more about the Chargers here, and the question was, do you think the Chargers are a playoff team? Do you think they can somehow sneak their way into the playoffs?
I think, provided the division that they're in, I think the AFC as a conference isn't very strong. I think the Jets played the best game that they're going to play all year long. The Miami Dolphins is obviously a threat. Kansas City Chiefs will always be the cream of the crop. And I think that the Chargers is going to land right there, just slightly below the top 4 or 5 teams, and they're going to walk into the playoffs unless there's an emergence of a team that we haven't heard of, and I don't see that happening at this point. Even with Justin Herbert, he is, in my mind, very good West Coast style offense. And one thing that you would know about the Dallas Cowboys is that they play West Coast teams a lot better than they play vertical teams. And I think the 49ers being more of a West Coast kind of similar to a West Coast style offense, they give you a lot of razzle dazzle, which is why they were able to get Kittle open. And I just think that the Chargers was not able to emulate what the 49ers did the week prior, which, those routes, it looks like even at the last, did you see the last drive of the game where Gilmore got the interception?
And the play before where Micah sacked him?
Right, where he basically, those cornerbacks were sitting on those turnaround and sit back, routes, and he was able to jump it and seal the game for the Cowboys. So I think that when you play that style of offense, the Cowboys excel, and they, with their fast pass rush, and they were getting very good interior pressure. So I think that despite this loss, I think the Chargers will be a playoff team.
Because right now they're sitting at 2-3 behind the Raiders and the Chiefs in their division. They have 6 tough games left, and when I say tough games, I mean they're facing opponents that are currently with a winning record. So it's going to be tough. I think they do get in. I think I agree. I think they're going to end up at like the 7th seed, like the final seed in the playoffs. But I think they are a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree. They're not winning the division because of Kansas City's in it, but yeah, they can beat the Broncos, definitely. I think they can beat out the Raiders. So I definitely think they would have a 6th or 7th seed, yeah.
But I would like to throw in there a hot take incoming. If the Colts call up Carson Wentz, they may be to salvage their season. You heard it from me first.
It went so well when he was there before, huh?
You right?
I just wanted to bring this game up because I wanted to see if it changed your guys' mind about the Cowboys even a little bit. Clearly, it didn't. And I also kind of see what you guys thought about the Chargers because they lost. The Chargers I thought were a team that could beat the Cowboys, and I guess it was a close game, but it really didn't seem that close. It was a close game, but it didn't seem that close. If you know what I mean.
No, they definitely could have beat the Cowboys. I think if just the Chargers offense played better, they could have, because their defense was stopping Dallas.
And my last thing is I think Austin Eckler, I think he was just him coming back into it. He wasn't going to have an explosive game his first game back. I just didn't see that happening.
No, those high ankle sprains, they linger for a while, so that was kind of to be expected.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like as the season
the past game,
absolutely. As the season progresses, I feel like it'll get better offensively for them. So unless you guys have anything else to say on the Cowboys or the Chargers, I'll go to the next topic.
Go to the next topic.
Cool.
That's it, next topic.
Okay, so going from Monday Night Football to Sunday Night Football, it's going to be the Giants and the Bills. I don't know if any of you guys watched it as well. The Bills could have lost this game. The last play of the game was at the 1 yard line with 0 seconds left because there was a penalty, pass interference in the end zone. I didn't like the play call, but the Bills have looked sloppy the past 2 weeks. They could have lost this game to the Giants, and they could have lost the game, or they did lose the games to the Jags in London. Obviously, different circumstances. But should we be worried about the Bills? I mean, I know they're going through injuries and all that, but Josh Allen has looked not great, and this is a team that we expect to be in the Super Bowl running. Should we be worried?
I think you always want to be.
Oh,
go for it. You go for it.
I think the Bills always go through like rough patches during the season. Like for some reason they're always dominant most of their games, but then they'll just randomly just play like crap to just random teams, and I think they kind of do that every season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll bounce back and they'll be dominant again. I don't know why, but I just feel like they just have off games for, like all the time. So I feel like they'll be all right.
And
playoffs are a different story, though. I feel they might choke in the playoffs like they usually do, but
I think there's a trend going on where what I'm noticing is that a lot of good teams are playing down to the competition. You know,
Right.
We saw that with the 49ers. We saw that with the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw that with the Buffalo Bills. We saw that where the teams coming in with backup quarterbacks are beating elite football teams. And I think it just has a lot to do with not really playing to the level that we all know that these teams can play at. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles, yes, they suffered some injuries, which allowed the Jets to get a lot of pressure. But you know what? You're team, you're supposed to be these things.
I was gonna say we can get into we're gonna get into the Eagles and the Niners. Well, I'm sure we're gonna have a lengthy conversation. I think that there's not too much to be said about this game, other than I think I absolutely agree. I think the Giants are not the Giants. I think the Bills did absolutely play down to the competition, and I think the Giants with Saquon Barkley look more like a competent team. I think what it proved to me is that Saquon really carries that team. Without Saquon, that team's play bad.
We've known that, but I think I agree with both points. It seems like these good teams are playing down to the competition. It's almost point. The Bills kind of go through this wave of playing like crap, but to the point of that you made with them playing with injuries, it's a non-divisional game. It's an NFC team. I don't see why an elite team – I wouldn't have a problem with an elite team like that playing a little bit more conservative, trying to keep their guys healthy whenever they start moving into those divisional games and start playing against more NFC teams or AFC teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's something that, those teams consider, but just kind of on the outside looking in, the Giants don't affect the Bills' ability to get into the playoffs any way at all. So –
well, if they would have beat them,
it would have been. Well, yeah. I mean,
that's one less win.
But being a little bit more conservative, not necessarily playing up to your total talent, it kind of keeps your guys safe in a sense, if that makes sense.
I get you, but I'm just saying, like back-to-back games. They play the Patriots next week or this week. I guess I don't expect them to play the same. I expect them to play better. But if they don't, we might have to start getting worried about it.
Yes, the Patriots are a divisional game, so that will kind of, I can't say it'll necessarily debunk that because it's a bad Patriots team as well, with them being 1-5. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I agree. I think we have to be worried if they don't play very well against a bad New England team. But at the same time, Belichick always seems to have Buffalo's number when it comes to defense. So I don't really know what to expect here.
Bill's got nobody's number right now that it seems like.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's kind of one of those things that we'll just have to watch and as it develops.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think this is minor, but did you guys see that the Giants coach Brian Dable? He said that there's no quarterback competition. When Daniel Jones is healthy, he's starting no matter what. You think that's the right call?
For the Giants,
I was gonna say, do you think the Giants are better off without Daniel Jones?
Mm.
I don't know. I don't think Daniel Jones is a great
I
quarterback.
don't think Tyrod Taylor played that much worse than
Tyrod
Daniel
Taylor
Jones.
got hoed. He had a couple passes where he would throw a dime and it'd be a flag, or he'd like run for 15 yards and it'd be a flag.
Mm-hmm.
He got hoed.
Was it on him?
He threw like a 40-yard dime to Jalen Hyatt, and it got called back.
See, Daniel Jones playing much better than that most times. So yeah.
Well, with Saquon back, their goal is just going to be running the football and play action off of it.
Yeah, like Derrick Henry in Tennessee, it's going to be live and die by Saquon.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And that defense played good. I think the defense looked good against the Bills. Obviously, we just said the Bills 7 looked great, but the defense played, okay. Okay, well, we had a couple surprising losses this week. Two of the co-hosts here had one of their teams, had both of their teams lose in a fashion we didn't expect. We had the Eagles and the Jets game. Jets ended up winning 20-14, and the Niners and the Browns. Browns ended up winning 19-17 off a Jake Moody missed field goal. Which loss surprised you guys the most?
49ers, absolutely. That 49ers loss surprised me. And I hate to say this, but I've been telling Big for a couple weeks now, the Eagles aren't that great of a 5-0 team. They just haven't been as great as they have been in the past, unfortunately. They just don't seem to be firing at the cylinders that we're used to. And I don't know what it is or why it is. I mean, I know in the offseason they lost some key players, but overall, they're still pretty well intact. I don't understand what's going on with them. I don't really know what happened with the 49ers game either. But that one was the most surprising to me.
So if we break down the Eagles game, most people know the Philadelphia Eagles are built, from the inside out. Their offensive line is their strength.
Absolutely.
Losing Lane Johnson really allowed, the Jets did everything they could. Say, hey, you know what? We're going to try to exploit this mismatch. And you know what? They were able to do that. And they were able to double team guys like Devonta Smith and the tight end. And, A.J. Brown's going to get his. But limiting him was something that they thought was very important, but was not a priority. And you can just see how they played the Eagles. Their second half game plan was completely different than the first half. And getting the ball with those short fields and those turnovers and, it just I'm going to say this. No one expects the Philadelphia Eagles. As an Eagles fan, I don't ever expect them to go 16-0. I wouldn't want them to go 16-0 because to me, when you go 16-0, that just almost guarantees a first round exit, in my opinion. So I'm okay with them losing the game. And I thought that the Jets was a good team, that was really underhanded. But provided the defensive scheme that they ran a lot of new things that the Eagles wasn't used to seeing, particularly when Lane Johnson went out. And it opened up a lot of things for them. So, you know what? Kudos to them. They really, capitalized. And, they forced turnovers. And when the ball touched the ground, they caught it. They didn't, they took advantage of every opportunity. Now, looking at that game, the Jets only scored. I don't think the Jets scored on any of those turnovers. They didn't score on any of those turnovers. So even the pick that the safety got, and people say, the Jets didn't have Sauce Gardner or another guy.
They didn't score touchdowns. They got field goals.
Nah, not on the turnovers. They got field goals.
The last pick, yeah, that's points.
The last pick, I don't believe that turned into. I don't think any of those.
That last pick, he was at the 10-yard line. He definitely got a field goal out of that.
The last pick was maybe he did return to the 10. But in the event, to turn the ball over 4 times in that game and to only get 3 points, you know what? I'll take that all day. And you know what? The Jets, they wanted it, they fought, and they hung it. And that defense, if we're being honest, you can't say, the Eagles played down to the competition because that defense is just as elite as that Eagles defense and the Niners defense and the Browns. So, you know what? They lost to a good defensive football team. And like those antics says is that offense scores points, wins champions, and they played championship defense. And I gotta give it.
I was always taught offenses sell tickets, defenses sell get championships.
Same.
The Eagles weren't selling no tickets when they were playing the Jets. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, they couldn't. The Jets did a great job. They stopped the run.
Mm-hmm. Which they were gonna do.
You know, AJ Brown got his, but Devonta Smith dropped 4 passes. He basically was a no-show. The Eagles do not have a third receiver at this time. Tight end. You know, that's why perhaps they brought Julio Jones in to, you know, in the event you can't, you know, that's not going to allow you to double team one of our better guys. If you don't have to, if you can play the Philadelphia Eagles and you don't have to respect the deep ball, you know, and you can play 3 minute, 8 minute in a box, you can beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that's what I was going to say with the Julio signing, because I know we were going to bring this up because it did just happen today. I don't think Julio is a starting receiver on the team. I think he's their 4. I think he's a rotational guy that comes in to replace A.J. Brown for a couple snaps, replaces Devontae for a couple snaps. I think Quez still starts, just for that speed aspect.
Well, and you're right. And I guarantee you that had Quez even played that game, there was no way those defensive backs, including Sauce Gardner, if he was even in that game, would have been playing that close to those Eagles. Because Quez Watkins will run past everybody on that team.
I didn't think Sauce played.
No, he didn't. I'm simply saying that had Sauce Gardner played that game and Quez Watkins was on the outside running down the field, he's not keeping up with Quez Watkins. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that guy is probably in the top 3 fastest guys, you know, in the league. I mean, and he's just, you know, you're not catching that guy. Now, the Eagles do have Britton Covey, who's a world-class sprinter. I don't know why they don't use that guy to take the top off the defense, just to give them some looks down.
Probably dropping too many balls in practice. Or got no hands.
Thing is that I realized that Hurts, for some reason or another, in some instances, it seems like he can't get the ball down the field like you would like. So I think that's also, you know, appeared the way that it seemed like they played the Eagles. But hey, the Jets had a great game plan. It seemed like it changed at halftime. C.J. Mosley is amazing. I don't know why I never watched that guy. There was a kid named Huff that played an amazing. I mean, the Williams brothers played amazing. Those guys just played lights out. The one kid on the Whitehead played a lights out game. They played lights out the second half.
So you agree with Matt that the more surprising loss was the Niners game?
I think that, being honest, I think that had the Eagles' offensive line remained intact, and Lane Johnson is a big part of what they do, I don't think that you would have had the Jets sending 6 and 7 guys at the Eagles, because they would have known that, you know, they wouldn't have won a lot of those one-on-ones. Instead, now you have to double team Quentin Williams in the inside. That really changes the dynamics of how you block these guys, and I think that was game changing. Mm-hmm. You know, the Eagles did absolutely nothing after that guy went out. So, I know Vince likes to say I don't care about offensive linemen. I think that skilled players are better. You know, they sell the tickets and they are the meat and the potatoes of the team. But you need offensive linemen to block for you, and I think that really changed that game. And I don't think the Eagles, as an Eagles fan, I have to say this because I know we're saying, well, whose fault is that? The Eagles were not prepared to have, what's his name? Not Dillard. What's that guy's name? I can't even remember. It's Driscoll. There's Driscoll in there. The guy can't block. The dude can't block he couldn't block Vince. And Vince has no legs. So, I don't know. You know, and you know what? If they have to go into Miami with that guy starting at right tackle, I think that the Miami Dolphins is going to say, hey, you know what?
Dolphins go into Philly. Dolphins at Philly this week.
Well, they can come into Philadelphia, but I think that we're going to see Jalen Hurts under duress like he was in New York running for his life. And that's what you get. You know, you can only make magic so many times.
I think the more surprising loss is the Eagles, to be honest with you. Because I think Hurts is a better quarterback than Purdy. And it didn't seem like he could pass on a Jets defense that, yes, that is good, but they were missing parts of their secondary. This wasn't their starting unit in the secondary. And yes, he's missing a tackle. I'm still expecting a guy that we considered an MVP candidate to be able to throw on a team with a depleted secondary. He threw 3 interceptions, and I would argue he lost the game for him.
Listen,
granted the play calling, I didn't agree with the play calling, but
he threw the game clinching touchdown. But if we're being honest, the play calling was horrible.
I agree. I agree with that.
I mean, you can say depleted secondary. They have 2 of the best safeties on that defense in the National Football League. And those guys being able to double cover, and they have really good coverage linebackers who were, they played amazing that second half. And you know what? Sometimes, as they say, the sun shines on a dog's ass. Sometimes those guys played amazing. And I'm sorry, I don't care what team was on that football field playing offense. I think they would have. I think that defense playing at that level that they played at on Sunday, they would have beat almost any team in the league.
I think the Browns game was the same way. I think the Browns defense was phenomenal too. I just think that the Browns had most of their starters intact, and the Jets didn't. I think Hurts being a better quarterback than Purdy, I just felt like Hurts should have played better. So that's why it's a more surprising loss to me. Defense did its thing. The Eagles defense, even with you said they don't have the greatest, they didn't have the greatest safeties. That they played fine. I know it's Zach Wilson and all. I feel like the Niners defense was giving up stuff to PJ Walker, which is definitely surprising. But I feel like the more surprising loss to me was the Eagles. I don't know.
I think that I watched the entire game in real time of the 49ers and the Browns. And I will say I would have to say,
and it was a rainy game. We can't forget that Niners game was a rainy game.
It was a rainy game, but I don't want to take everything away from Purdy. So I'm going to put a little bit of this.
Oh, he didn't play good. No, let's be honest. He didn't play good.
He didn't play good, but I think that the 49ers offense is highly predicated on that first read being open. And it's always open. I'm sorry, I watched those games that first half. Those guys, that first drive, he do a play action, he boots left, pivots, turns around, looks to his right. Guy's completely open. Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey. When he lost those players, I think it changed the mindset of that coach. And I think that we started to see that first read was not open. And I think Purdy kind of was like, almost like a deer in the headlights. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the coach not being prepared for that situation. He didn't want to get hit, and like he did. But when it mattered, he drove his team down the field. That read, and the reason why I say that first read is because sometimes you can see a guy, they drop back 1, 2, 3, and then they let the ball go. When you can drop back and you let that ball go immediately like that, it's because that read, what you're looking for based on the coverage, is open. It's there, and he was able to do that later in that game and get them in position to win that game. And I know that kicker's a rookie.
Third round rookie.
Yeah,
I do think Brock Purdy's timer was dramatically cut short with him playing against Myles Garrett, and to the point of big where he's used to his first read being open. In this instance where it was not open, he's immediately having to try and find another read, knowing that Myles Garrett is essentially breathing down his neck at that point.
But it wasn't Myles Garrett though.
Well, Myles Garrett didn't really do much.
It was a
different
right. So with the point of Myles Garrett is always at the forefront whenever you're thinking defense against the Browns. So they're scheming to play against Myles Garrett, and they were. But Myles Garrett, man, he was whooping Trent's ass all day, and they were doing a lot of motion, a lot of chipping, trying to get at least two sets of hands on him. But I do think, to Big's point, where Brock Purdy's first read not being open and him knowing that they're trying to scheme against Myles Garrett to keep him out of the play, it kind of flustered him a lot more than maybe it would have if they were playing against any other teams where there's not so much of a focus on a player like Myles Garrett. I think any other team, I think Brock Purdy would have been fine if that first read wasn't open.
I think see what I think about the game. I don't think Brock played particularly like horrible.
Well, here's his stat sheet. He was 12 for 27, 125 passing yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
Well, you got to think he's playing with a wet ball. His receivers dropping passes because wet ball. You know, the ball's getting snapped through the grass. It's all soaking wet, and he's got small hands. The ball's slipping out of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
You got to say he probably hasn't played an NFL game in the rain before.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think that this is probably a test for him. Plus, he's playing the number one statistically defense in NFL right now, who's allowed the fewest scrimmage yards since like the 1970s in first 5 games. So you got to think he's playing this tough defense in the rain. He's got these guys down his throat, and he's trying to get the ball down the field, throwing the ball with a wet pass to his receivers who are without Debo. And so he's got Rayward McLeod out there trying to do what Debo does. And usually those dump-off passes to Debo is what his first read is.
I mean, they have George.
I think they have under pressure.
Ayuk. They have Juan Jennings. Obviously, no McCaffrey. They still have targets.
Well, they have targets, but I'm saying that Browns defense is no joke. Like, they definitely caught the 49ers offense by surprise. And, I think, and then we just couldn't, after we lost a couple guys, I think the morality was just down on the offense, and we just couldn't get a drive going for the majority of the game.
So do you think the Niners game is more surprising or the Eagles?
I think the Eagles game is more surprising. I feel like everything was kind of against the Niners in that game, and I think the Browns winning that game was definitely not surprising if you watched it. I feel like the Eagles game, I feel like the Eagles definitely should have won that game. I feel like they had a lot of mistakes on offense that kind of hindered them from that. And I feel like, and definitely after the throwing the pick that sealed the game for the Eagles, I feel like that probably shouldn't have happened, and they should have walked away with the win there.
Like, that was the play calling I didn't like.
49ers,
I don't know why they're passing there. I know they couldn't run. I don't understand the reason.
No, I think that the Niners definitely didn't play well. Definitely not what they've been playing so far this year. But you know, it's a rough game. Like, all rain games are going to be low scoring. Offenses ain't really going to be doing much. Kind of just a defense, kind of sliding around in the mud, you know. But
I will.
The 49ers kept on trying to pass the ball, and without McCaffrey running it, they kind of strayed away from the run game, and I think that's what kind of killed them. They trying to get the ball down the field, throwing the ball in the rain, and that just kind of doesn't really work that well, obviously. So I think that's what killed them. And I think PJ Walker played pretty good. He did throw 2 interceptions, but and I don't think the 49ers they didn't have Dre Greenlaw out there, and you can definitely see the tackling was definitely not that great. They were missing a lot of tackles, and I don't think they were playing their best. So,
well,
so I think the Niners losing. I think that wasn't as surprising as the Eagles.
No, I'm not
because
sure
if you watch
Vince
the game,
can
the
add
Niners
much.
definitely weren't playing as well as you'd think they were. So,
I honestly think the 49ers game was the bigger surprise. Pointing out with what Matt said here is that the Eagles is.
So are you just saying the Niners are a better team, and then because they lost, that's the most surprising win, just because they're the better team?
I think you know, from the perception of a lot of people and persons, and a lot of analysts, that they believe that the 49ers is the absolute cream of the crop. You know, even above the former the reigning Super Bowl champions.
I agree with that. You know, but as far as the way I look at it, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. In my mind, they are the cream of the crop.
Listen. I'm going to say this: the Eagles, they lost from top to bottom. You know, they were out coached, they were out muscled, they were outplayed, and you know what? It happens every single year. When the Eagles lost to the Commanders last year, it was the same exact thing, and they were in it into the second to third drive of the game. And you know what? 1 play, 2 plays made the difference. Let's say the Eagles convert. When the Eagles got that ball back, and that pass that Jordan Whitehead broke up, let's say that's pass interference. Let's say they actually called the penalty there. that game is absolutely over. Hurts does not throw that pass because it never happens.
But you're just hoping. You're just hoping for penalties and saying what ifs. I don't know.
I'm not hoping. I'm giving you analysis, a breakdown of what.
I just don't know why they're throwing the ball there.
No, but that's to my point, is that there was this poor play calling. Like, they needed 8 yards. They threw the ball 40 yards downfield. You know what I mean? These are things that Brian Johnson is not a good offensive coordinator. Was he a rookie? He's a rookie offensive coordinator. That does not give him a pass because this is the National Football League. He should be prepared to do his job and do it to his best ability.
Well, you can't blame him. You got to blame management for that.
Hold on a second. Hold on. It's a bigger indictment on Nick Sirianni because Nick Sirianni was an offensive coordinator. When you see game plans that necessarily don't fit, and I know the Jets made some adjustments at halftime, you as an offensive-minded coach need to go to your OC and say, hey, listen, we need to maybe look at some other things. They're sitting on there with the tablets, aren't they? They got tablets. They're sitting there looking at tablets. I don't want to keep going on and on like a broken record. I'm simply saying that, you know what? The Jets outplayed the Eagles. In the case of the 49ers and the Browns, I don't think they completely outplayed them. I don't think P.J. Walker outplayed Brock Purdy. I don't think that there was poor play calling in that game. I think it was just a grind out, beat down, fight fest. And you know what? That kicker missed 2 field goals. If he makes just one of them, it's a different football game. That's simply all I'm saying. And I'm saying
that's why it's not as surprising to me.
Jake Elliott, Jake Elliott missed a field goal on the previous drive. There was just so much that just happened. I don't want to say fluke because it's the National Football Game and they say it's any given Sunday for a reason, brother. And I'm telling you that, you know what? On this Sunday, the teams that was viewed as the cream of the crop, they got dealt with. And as an Eagles fan, you see, look, I love my Eagles, but they got dealt with, and I got to just be honest with it.
Okay, Vince. Well, I'm not sure there's too much you can add, but what was the more surprising win?
Yeah, the Colts.
out of the two games, obviously.
I think the Niners loss is a bit more surprising, injuries aside, but I think it's kind of ironic that last week we were talking about, it's literally just the conference of 49ers and Eagles. It's between those two teams, and they both lose the following week.
It still is. Let's be honest, it still is.
It still is. But the following week, both lose to teams with struggling records. I'll put it that way.
And backup quarterbacks and injuries throughout their team.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like the Niners had a chance to win that game, but the Eagles didn't against the Jets team. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. I think the morality of that Eagles team just they didn't feel like they were in it. I just want to say a couple things because I think we're done talking about it. Unless you guys do have something to add.
I just said the turnovers surprised me. Though like I said, 49ers is the more surprising loss to me personally. I am surprised Eagles turned it over as much as they did. I can't remember for sure, though. I know you said Lane Johnson went out. I think they have a missing lineman somewhere else, don't they?
Just Lane.
Okay, I thought
I'm about to list the injuries that happened and what they turned out to be.
I know how Hart's played more or less. He didn't play great, but how was the Eagles' run game? Because typically
no McCaffrey. They had no McCaffrey. The Eagles' run game bad. They couldn't run in the Jets, but the Jets' front is good, so that's not too surprising.
Yeah, they definitely are good. But Eagles have been running on everybody. That's why I was asking.
I'll tell you who was good. Dalvin Tomlinson was eating the 49ers offensive line up. Backfield every play. It almost seemed like
I think it's funny Williams got a deflected pick.
So just a couple quick injury news.
Didn't really do much. He had some good back and forth with Trent Williams, but I think Trent Williams got the better of him most of the time, saying that he had no sacks. He had a couple hurries, but I think Dalvin Tomlinson was the best D lineman for the Browns last
best
week.
D line of the game, not just the Browns.
Best lineman of the game.
Best D lineman of the game.
Yeah,
that
sure.
dude was in there every play.
He was eating us up.
No, anyways, Debo had a shoulder injury. He's day to day. Trent Williams ankle injury, day to day. McCaffrey had an oblique, questionable. They're saying he has a chance to play Monday night. Lane had a lateral ankle sprain. He got lucky. It's only questionable for the game. And then Reed Blankenship, X-rays were negative, ribs. No official statement on it, but it looks like he might be good this week. Dolphins play the Eagles on Sunday Night Football, and the Niners play the Vikings on Monday Night Football. So we get to watch these teams on prime time to see how they do. I think this is the Niners' first time in prime time. Eagles second, I believe. You know, primetime games, they are games that we look differently upon, I think. I think the Niners had the easier game. I think that's all right.
The 49ers come to primetime before. They played the Giants, which was primetime because the Giants only played primetime.
That's right. Yeah, the Giants are always on primetime. My bad. Okay. So if you guys have no more points, the last thing I want to talk about before we kind of get into our week 7 matchups, like who we think is the best games of week 7, is the Panthers and Bryce Young. I know it's not something, the prettiest of topics, especially if you're a Panthers fan. They are the only team that doesn't have a win this year. They also don't have a first round pick this season. What do we think's happening with them? What do we think they're doing, and what's happening with their franchise?
I think Bryce Young has proven to us that he wasn't as NFL game speed ready as what everybody thought he was. I think he looks sloppy behind the helm. I think he looks confused when it comes to play calls. I think his height behind those big-ass linemen is affecting him a little bit. I think him as a first-year starter was probably not the right choice for the Panthers. Not that any other starter would probably do any better, because I think we're seeing the effects of bad coaching from top to bottom. But I do think that Bryce Young has proven that he was a product of a fantastic Nick Saban organization. What
do you think their future? What do you think their future is? Not just this year, but years, but a couple years in the future.
So a couple years in the future, I think they reform their coaching staff. I think Bryce Young gets traded to another team for a different pick.
Oh, so you're saying bust?
I think Bryce Young does better in a different organization. I don't think he's up to the game speed like what everybody thought he was. And I think him getting thrown into a very bad Carolina organization is just it's making him look worse than what it is as well. And maybe it is as bad as it looks. Maybe to me, it looks like he's a product of a Nick Saban team when he's coming into the NFL, and he's like a product of like a Vince Ultimate team.
Vince got his butt hurt so bad he left. No,
he doesn't have much of a supporting cast around him. The coaches aren't very decorated. They don't have a whole lot to their name. I don't know if y'all recall, but a couple weeks ago, Bryce Young was lining up behind the guard. Didn't know where the hell he was. Like, how do you make that mistake as a quarterback? Like, none of us in here has played quarterback a day in our life, but we would know where to line up.
Mm-hmm. You said they don't have any experience. Frank Reich most definitely has a lot of experience.
Well, no. I'm not saying he doesn't have experience. I'm saying they haven't been successful. They haven't proven to be successful coaches.
I think that Frank Reich has a great track record when he was in Philadelphia. As a head coach, I think I have to agree with you. But certainly as an OC and a quarterback coach, I think he's proven.
Well, he's calling plays. He's not calling plays anymore. He just announced this week that he's giving up play calling duties. But he's the one calling the plays, or he was at least these last 6 weeks.
Well, what he ought to do is he ought to start having someone else call plays, and him be
That's what he
working
did.
with Bryce Young.
He just announced
every single freaking opportunity that he gets.
He announced that he's giving up play calling duties to their OC Thomas Brown, who has been mostly a running back coach his entire career, but he was an assistant head coach under Sean McVay the last 2 seasons.
Okay, so a successful offensive organization, a high-scoring, high-powered offense. I mean, and maybe that's what they need. But
I think it is.
What it looks like to me is it looks like Bryce Young was a product of Nick Saban. I mean, you throw us into Alabama, and I'm sure we'd be pretty successful there too because of the supporting cast.
I don't know. Vince can't throw a spiral from what he told me.
I do have to say, as a Texans fan, we were all upset at Lovie Smith for that game-winning field goal that put us in the second pick. I think we owe him an apology, and I think we need to thank him because CJ has proven to be a fantastic rookie, week in and week out. I don't want to, I don't want to sit on that topic too long because it seems like every week, we're talking about CJ. He finally threw his first.
Don't put the "we" in there.
I do, and y'all get sucked into talking about it. But he did throw his first pick, but it somehow resulted in a 3-yard gain, and then it resulted in a touchdown. He was able to kind of turn on the blinders and move on to the next play. I'm just, as a Texans fan, I'm glad that we did not pick up Bryce Young because I probably would have sold my season tickets.
And it's tough because I just feel like, and I've said this in the past, I feel like the Texans organization has built their culture so fast, and I agree with Big. I don't think Frank Reich has had a great head coaching track record. I just don't like him as the head coach. I think it was a bad signing when I saw it happen. He was the interim coach for the Colts, or no, he got fired as the Colts. He got fired as the Colts coach last year, replaced by Jeff Saturday, who's never coached in the league, and the Panthers decided that was a good idea to pick him up. I don't know. I
remember you saying you liked Frank Reich though.
I did. But... No, not for the Panthers. When he got signed by the Colts, I like that. But after getting fired from the Colts, I don't know. I thought they should have signed somebody up and coming, young or something. I don't know.
I think what they should have done is they probably should have given Jeff Saturday a little bit more of an opportunity to develop as a coach. I don't think he did very bad as a head coach, but Frank Reich came in and just completely destroyed the Colts from the inside out.
Seemed like it.
I agree. I feel like, growing pains aside, I felt like Jeff Saturday brought a toughness to the team that was lacking. Toughness, demeanor. But get back on the Bryce Young topic. I can't remember a whole lot. I vaguely watched. Sorry. It felt like I had to sneeze. I apologize. I vaguely watched the highlights, and from what I saw that game, it didn't look like he played that bad to me. Like, his team put up 21 points, which is it's a decent amount against a top Dolphins team. It's just the Dolphins put up 42 because it's a Dolphins offense.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched the Panthers. I haven't watched the Panthers. I see the Panthers on TV, and I'm turning it to a different channel. It's nothing on the Panthers, but it's 100% on the Panthers.
It's 100% on the Panthers.
I don't want to watch so I watched them one time this year. The one time I watched them this year, they had receivers running into each other. So I decided to stay away. I'm excited to see what this new OC brings. Obviously, he's still coaching. He's still coaching the offense in practices and stuff. But I'm excited to see what he does play calling wise. I don't know who they play this week. Oh, that's a lie. I have it listed actually. I think they have a bye week. They are on a bye week. They played the Texans week 8. So that'll be a game we definitely talk about. Is the Panthers and the Texans, regardless of how it goes. So yeah,
they're gonna go out there and kick him in the ass. Is what's gonna happen.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the new OC does. This will be the first time I watch Bryce Young since week 1. I feel like I'll get a good idea of what's happening. Stat-wise, he's not playing terrible. He has been sacked 16 times, which isn't great. So, I don't know. That could be him just taking too long to make a read, or maybe his reads just aren't getting open. I don't know. I'll find out week 8.
Or maybe the game is moving too quick for him to read appropriately.
As I said, that could be the case, but how many Panthers games are you watching?
Man, I'm turning on Sesame Street before I'm turning on a Panthers game.
you basically are with how tall Bryce Young is. About the same height.
I'm right there with you.
And I don't think the offense did bad. Like I said, 21 points is a good thing. I like Matt brought up. He lined up behind the goal. That was funny. Like, yeah, that's just brain dead as it gets. Like the
That's like
dumbest
you
thing
in coverage, Vince.
Yeah, the
Wait,
dumbest thing
did
I
you
can
just
think
say
of
21 points is okay? They lost
against
the game.
Miami Dolphins is.
No, they lost the game.
They lost the game by almost 21. Didn't they lose the game by 21?
Yeah,
Something like that.
21
Miami's defense is supported by their offense. If it wasn't for their offense, Miami wouldn't be Miami right now.
That's the truth.
What I was going that was about as dumb of a mistake that like I'm trying to compare it to something. Only thing I can compare it to is when I first started playing football when I was like 11, maybe 10, and a running back drill. Very first time I ran with the ball, I've seen Michael Vick hold it this way on Madden, so I carried it like a loaf of bread and got yelled at for that. But yeah, it's about the dumbest mistake I can compare it to.
Vince, I got a better one for you. You remember when the Colts lined up and they lined up a quarterback behind the center? And it's like 4th and 10.
3 defensive players. Yeah,
that's what it was.
The worst, stupidest play that you can compare it to is the Cowboys when they were playing the 49ers. At the end of the game last year, would have had Zeke Elliott line up at center. There you go.
That was funny.
Okay.
They put Zeke on what? Eric Armstead?
Absolutely. I call that the worst play in NFL history, even though the Patriots tried to top it last year. But
just quickly, I just want to say I think the Panthers team isn't as good. I didn't expect them to be good this year, even with them having Bryce Young. I just didn't expect them to be 0-6. You know, I feel like they're not playing the top end competition. I feel like they, 1 or 2 wins through 6, but it just hasn't happened for them.
But you know what? I think there's a little bit to the point you made about the Texans with DeMeco Ryans. Everybody's bought in. I don't think anybody's bought into Frank Reich.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody looks at him as a true leader. And this is kind of an exaggerated perspective, but like going into a football game, man, you're going into war. And if you don't have a leader that you back 100%, it's going to show on the field, and it has shown for the Panthers organization, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
A good example: the Lions.
The
Lions. They were bad.
Oh yeah,
they were bad, and they brought in Dan
Campbell,
who doesn't call plays at all.
And then just from him being there, that team will rile behind that guy, and they're so motivated by him as a person that they turned their season around, and now they're one of the top contenders in NFC.
Top 4, and, probably. They're probably 3.
They have the same record as the Niners and the Eagles.
They're probably the best team in the NFC right now.
Oh, I don't know, but I put them 3. I still think the Niners and Eagles got them beat, but I think they are 3. I would probably put them at 3.
I think they're
the best team right now.
I think that well, let's put it in perspective. I think that when you look at first of all, when you're bad for so long and you have a lot of money and you're not cap sunk with a quarterback, you can really, make some, their guys are all homegrown guys and they're going to be good for several years. So I will tip my hat, for the guys like the Amon St. Ra. I don't quite think Gibbs is quite panned out.
He hasn't played. He's been injured.
Montgomery recently got injured.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really good tight end. His name is
TJ Hawkinson.
No, Hawkinson's a Viking. It's Laporta. It's Laporta.
Yeah, Laporta.
Number 1 fantasy tight end. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think that Golf has actually been a pleasant surprise. But you know what? He was good when he was a Ram. I don't know why they gave up on him.
Well, I think people looked at him as like a system guy.
And I think that, the defense is without, they let a lot of guys go. Kuda, guys like that. And you know what?
Kuda didn't pan out for him, though. I mean, that.
Yeah. Kuda didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's to be debatable. I think they all had a solid year last year. I just think that overall that they're playing at a level that they, a lot of people did not expect. They're not playing the first place or the second place what am I trying to say? A second place schedule. So we'll see later down the line, what they got going on and how they're able to be resilient or not. But right now, I'm going to give them, if I had to rate them 1 out of 10, I'm going to give them a solid 8.5. I think they're doing a great job. They're well coached. They're disciplined. And, they beat a really good, a depleted, but a really good Chiefs team. I am not sold.
I don't buy into week 1 wins. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't buy into those.
Sold on, what's that guy with the grills in his mouth? Anthony Tony. What is his name?
Paul Wall.
Tony for the Chiefs. Kadarius. I am not a fan of that guy. I think he is a specialist.
Nah, dude, that's Lil Wayne in disguise, man. He ain't no football player.
Playing the guitar.
Yeah, skateboarding. No, I'm with you, man. I'm not bought in on him either.
But on the Lions, you just said they're the number 1 team in the NFC.
It says Kadarius Tony.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry. I got you.
I think they beat the Chiefs because I don't.
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah.
Is anybody here set on Kadarius Tony?
I think they beat the Chiefs if they play again. Honestly, they're playing with very few mistakes, and to your point, they're very disciplined. Aiden Hutchinson is. Man, he is balling out. They're having him doing some wild stuff as a defensive lineman.
They moved him interior. They've been moving him to D tackle. They've been letting him play inside a lot.
And they let him play zone coverage. Like, how tall is he? He's like 6'7".
6'7".
They throw the ball at him. All he's got to do is he's like Mr. Fantastic, stretch his damn arm out there and catch the ball.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many of you guys know this. He was the projected number 1 pick in the draft for like months, and then all of a sudden, Trevon Walker had that crazy combine, and he jumps in front of him. Hutchinson was the guy that I thought a lot of people should. I think I picked him as my number 1 pick. I thought he was the guy that should have been drafted number 1.
Well, he's proven to be an absolute stud, and I think he brings a lot to the Lions defense.
He does,
and he seems like along just on the player side, he seems like somebody you can get behind, someone who's a great leader. The Lions have a lot going for them this year, and if they're able to continue to capitalize on situations and remain disciplined, they could be a Super Bowl this team for the first time.
The thing that worries me is they don't have playoff experience, and I think that's what's going to hurt them.
You're right. They don't have the playoff experience, but if they remain,
because playoff football is a different breed of ball.
It is. It absolutely is. But Jared Goff has been to the playoffs before.
Super Bowl.
Not that he's. I mean, he ain't no Tom Brady going in the playoffs, but he's at least one of those guys that can kind of keep. He can kind of keep everybody level and at bay and be like, "Hey guys, I've been here before." Blah 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 blah, and I think he can help keep the rest of the team disciplined in that situation.
I think they have a chance for a Super Bowl.
When has that bum Goff been to the playoffs? Sorry, he's not a bum.
When he was with the Rams.
When he was with the Rams.
Remember the
he went to a Super Bowl
against the Patriots.
Really?
It was like a really low score, like 12 or something stupid.
That was Matthew Stafford that went to the Super Bowl, but
he went to a Super Bowl
against the Patriots. Yeah,
they put up like 3 points, but yeah, he was with the Rams.
It was a horrible game, but
that's right.
They crushed it throughout the playoffs. They played good. Obviously, Todd Gurley, different story, but.
Oh, you remember that? Yeah. Remember that game he played against Pat Mahomes, where it was like 50-54 or something like that? Really
no, Jared Goff can put up points.
Outplayed Mahomes that game.
He can put up points. I think that they are a sneaky Super Bowl team. They're definitely not my 1 or 2. I think they're my 3rd team. Playoff experience hurts, but I think their offense is rolling from last year, and they added some pieces on defense, and you guys progressed. And I think that they are definitely a sneaky team.
Yep, I think so.
Oh, we gotta hurry up. I gotta get you dinner.
Okay, we'll just name one game each. If it's the same game, it's the same game. What's your guys' Week 7 matchup? Best game of the week.
Eagles.
I think it's
okay. Not everybody at once. Okay, calm down.
I'm gonna say Eagles at Dolphins. Dolphins at the Eagles. I think it's gonna be a bounce back game. I think we get to see what Julio Jones still has in the tank. I expect to see the Eagles make a change defensively in the next 24 to 48 hours. Wait and see.
Well, you guys are getting Lane back, so you shouldn't have to worry about. You shouldn't have to worry about getting.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that Eagles Dolphins game is going to be the one to look at. I think see how the Eagles bounce back and respond to a really good Dolphins offense, and just see if they can hold the Dolphins if they're really that 5-0 team before the Jets, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if Big Play Slay ain't playing, they might get routed. I'm sorry, that secondary is horrendous.
I think that is. I think a lot of people are going to say that. I'm going to be a little biased, but I think it is also a good game. It's going to be the Ravens and Lions. We were just talking about the Lions being, a possible Super Bowl contender, but the Ravens, they're a team that can make some noise. They got to get to playoffs first, and we got to stop making mistakes.
How the Ravens are playing the past two games, though.
Playoffs.
That's what I need to see. They need to show me some stuff. They showed me some stuff against the Titans. We had Justin Tucker kick 6 field goals. We were driving on the field, no problem. We just need to put up points, and that's what I need to see. I think our defense can play the Lions offense really well. I think that's the matchup. I want to see this Ravens defense, which I consider a top 3, versus the Lions offense, which I consider a top 3. That's where I'm looking for, and I just need to see the Ravens offense step up. We have the pieces. There's no excuses for Lamar this year. I'm not making no excuses for him. We got the pieces. We just need to score touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Eagles, Dolphins, or Niners and Vikings.
Maybe like last year.
The Vikings is a stretch, but they've how do I say this? They've shown me enough.
They don't have Justin Jefferson. You realize Justin Jefferson's injured, right?
No, I did not. Thank you. So much for that.
And their defense is like,
Yeah, I guess since they don't have I'm not blanking.
You're gonna say Pat Pete? You better not be saying Pat Pete.
And the run game is like not there either. So
wait, did he ask us why he's blinking?
the only piece that they have is what is it? Hicks playing middle linebacker, and then Danielle Hunter just smashing dudes.
No, Jordan Addison's having a good rookie season.
He is having a good rookie season, but at the same time, I think that may have been partly due to everyone has to pay attention to Justin Jefferson.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what he can do. I mean, the Niners secondary is not great. We'll see what Jalen Reagor can do.
Well, they still have T.J. Hawkinson, right? So, but
I wouldn't be opposed to the Eagles giving up a bag of potato chips for Jordan Hicks or even.
That's something we'll talk about next week. I want to talk about some trade deadline stuff.
I wanted to take an off take because everyone's going to say Eagles Dolphins. I wanted to say
you can say Eagles and Dolphins. I don't think anybody's going to stop you. I think that is a good game.
Chargers, but yeah, after how we saw the Chargers play, nah.
I mean, I'm obviously going to follow suit with the Eagles Miami game. There's a lot to be said there, but I'm also going to say Bills and Patriots. There's a lot going to be said there for the Bills moving forward in the season.
All right, last thing I want to say about that, if the Patriots lose, I'm done talking about the Patriots. Because they suck.